which when they export to IFC, there are information loss during the process. So you know when they export information loss, when you come to CostX, you cannot grab the full information. So we advise to go for DWFX, which is the most complete for the BIM model. Okay, so while the takeoff for the 2D, this sort of dimension group, the idea to take off is actually you are not learning a whole new skill how to take off each of the item. You are just applying the QS knowledge. How do you take off the area, length, and count? You just apply inside CostX. So whatever and what is the method, how do you take off, example, how do you take off rebar? You just take off using length. So it's the same method inside CostX. That's why in the creating dimension group, you have area, count, and length. You only apply these three. So how to do the take off? It depends whether you receive the layout drawing or elevation drawing or section drawing. You can take off, depends on the drawing. The important thing is the drawing must to scale. If they don't have the scale, they just give you a schematic drawing, not to scale every part. Definitely you cannot do any measurement inside here. Okay, so the first thing that I saw in the list is you mentioned about the intersection, okay, within the beam. Okay, so for the intersection of the beam, so just like for example, this is the part there is a column. I just take an example. This part they don't have any column. So the user who take off, they must understand this quantity inside this intersection is belong to which beam. You are the one to decide when you do the measurement to do the taking off. So just for example, when I created this 350, okay, this is 350, is the size of the beam. That's why you see when I highlight this, I measure throughout this whole beam, and this beam is just touching. So this is how you control the intersection. So during the measurement, all the knowledge that or any SMM rules that you know, you need to apply during the process. So it's exactly the same as you do the traditional way in the hard copy. So the QS will need to identify which one need to deduct from which part. So this is the same, totally the same method. Okay. So the next one, let me just see through. Okay. Okay. It will be easier. Thank you very much. Always I need to always turn off. So the rebar, okay, this rebar. So this drawing actually is a reinforcement bar drawings. To measure the rebar, so this is a sample. If you're able to receive this sort of rebar detail, then it will be the easiest. Okay. Show you how do we take off this. So when we create the dimension groups over here, we notice that this is a 2T20. So I just create one dimension group here called T20. Okay. So normally when we take off the rebar, we measure the length, but we want the final quantity in kilogram. So there is a part that we can click on this dimension tab, the measured dimension. You can input the constant of the T20, which is conversion based on the length multiplied 2.47. So the method to key in inside this column is just like how you key in Excel. For example, if my formula is incorrect, you see, they will highlight in red color. So you need to make sure all the formula multiplication plus minus the bracket must correct. Okay. So when I have this, and I can start to do my taking off, just click the line, and you will see that the software they can able to give you in kilogram immediately. And over here 2T20, we know multiplier it must be two numbers. Every single line that you measure, they have their individual properties under the dimension tab here. I can select these properties. Okay, I can amend the name. Here belong to 1B41. I can actually change this. This belong to 1B41 and 2 multiplier. Multiply 2. Update it. Then you see total 16. And from these drawings, I only get 8.05. So this is how you do the main bar taking off. While we have the stirrups over here, I create another one, R8. Okay, because this one R8 spacing 150. There is a rebar mode on top. Okay, when you click this, the steps is a little bit different. So this is the thing that you might need to take notes. Okay, first highlight the spacing. This is the spacing for my stirrups. Then without select anything, direct go to the rebar length. So I just highlight the length. Once I completed this, I press enter. So you see the software will give you distance based on the length here is 2700. Once I key in the spacing 150, and the number in distance, they will come up automatically. 20, how do we get this number? 2700 divided 150, you should be able to get 18 point something. Okay, they will round it up, become 19 and plus 1. So based on how QS calculated. While the extra distance per bar, normally when the draftman they provide you this sort of drawings, they will never include the bands and hooks inside. So that is where you input in the extra distance per bar. But this you need to do some calculation. Let's say it's 24D, you need to 24 times 8. So just for example, I key in a figure 192, and once I click update, the software will give you 6.6 kilogram directly. But based on the distance here, every 150 they will put it 1, and you can get the kilogram directly. So if you have the similar beam throughout the whole drawings, same thing, you can adjust the multiplier at the dimension tab here. So you can double click, open this up, and there is a multiplier for you to adjust if you want to adjust this. Okay, this is for the rebar taking off. Okay, you come to the situation that you don't receive any beam detail like this. Okay, then about the manual way to take off in the CostX, we can provide you these templates if you need it. In the reinforcement bar, I have column, beam, any category I want to create. Under the beam, there's a main bar and stirrups. I open this up. This table. It's like any QS that you measure manually, you'll create a table in the Excel. You just need to move the whole template inside CostX. And from here, you have the option manually type in the length, width, height, multiplication. The factor is just to convert the length to the width. So while there's a number of bands, the bands, hooks, lapping, tying, top cover, bottom cover, side cover, you can have all this information linked to the constant, which you have a list over here. This constant, normally when you receive the rebar drawing, the engineer will provide you one table of this. You can just update all this information, which they will link directly to your workbooks. Or this one, you can save your rebar templates to input. So this situation only apply if you receive a typical, they just give you all this one apply to all the beam, which means you need to key in them one by one. If you have the rebar detail like what you have just now, you just click the line, which is easier. Okay.
Okay. Can you go back to the drawing that you had? And I think one of the questions was, if you go to the right further on, there's one beam that's got several different sections in it, for example.
Maybe this one.
So if that is okay, so this one, for example, has got different beam references on it, which is quite convenient. But sometimes we'll get a beam that's 12 meters long, and it's called B1, and in that beam you have three different sections with rebar in it. So how would we do that?
In that case, it's like when you start to define, because this one they give 1B, 53, 52. That time you have the option to create the name. Maybe you just input B1, then section 1 or section A, B, C. The names of each section is up to you to create. Just that the user need to very understand that what is your standards, which everyone can understand.
Yeah, but if we're searching the drawings for all the beams of that reference, we've created a new reference for that beam because it's split into various sections. Yeah. We won't be able to search for our labels. So that's maybe I'm thinking too specifically, but I know that we do get quite complex beam detail.
About this one, last time when I was still doing the taking off, I will do using the grid number from G to F, which I name it every single section that I have. Right. So when I want to check, I just check through the section, the grid line there.
When we're doing it manually, yes.
Yes.
I mean, that's fairly typical. I know that we obviously were using the search all facility to try and find all of, or count or number of beams or pad footings or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So if we have to use the references that are shown on the drawing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something we'd have to.
Yeah,
go through
this
more
one is,
specific
let's say in the
examples.
future you have the drawing, you have issue, you still can contact me, don't worry. I
Yeah.
will try to assist you throughout the drawing because very difficult because there are a lot of sample of the rebar, a lot
Understood.
of circumstances.
Yeah, understood, Andy. I think from our point of view, I think it was more a reassurance that it can be done.
Yes.
Which was quite a big surprise to us on Friday. So okay, it led to quite a long discussion.
So Andy, where is that? Is that in the advanced manual or where is the instructions for the rebar?
For this rebar, actually, I already recorded the webinar. I already uploaded since last half year ago. I already uploaded into our webinar there. It's just like what I've shown you just now. All is in the webinar there.
Yeah, I've seen. I haven't looked at it, but I know that it
Yes,
exists,
yeah.
and that's why the question came up.
On Friday.
Yeah. Okay. So we kind of said the question was. It must be able to, and you've done a webinar for it, which we knew the existence of, but we'd never gone into the details at
Yeah.
the time. So,
So you've
yeah.
access.
Yeah.
In case I can ask,
Yeah, I just go ahead.
example, the SSG to see over 11.7 that you need to have one lapse.
Okay.
Where in.
Okay. About, let's say for example, this sort of lapping, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, this sort of lapping, we need to identify whether the engineer or the draftsman, when they prepare the line, whether there is a overlap lines or they ignore, they just seem like you see, just like I show you the sample here.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to click the line, you see that this line is until this end. If I just click the line, okay, let me just create another dimension group so they will see the different color. Okay, so I change it to different color. And this is different color. This is green color. So when I have this different color, delete the dimension group. So once I point it here, you see the length is starting from here.
Let's also drawing that's in the
Yes.
first
When you manual when you do it this manual way, so
on the station now have a
they do not show the lapping. Then you can see under this dimension tab here, you can manually add it inside. Just like when I create, for example, I just extend this line to show you the thing. So let's say when I show the line until this extent, okay, there is a lapping in between, which the line it do not appear in your drawings. So you can just come over this dimension tabs. Okay, there is nothing, no lapping. Then I can click the add button. I create the lapping by myself. Lapping. Then you need to input the length of the lapping. So let's say for example here is stated 400. I key in 0.4, and once I click insert, you see they will create one highlight in green color. This one is you manually type in, which never link to the drawings.
last not on the soul example on the soul example 40.
40D, yes. Yeah,
yeah.
you need to, the length that when you input the information inside this lapping, you need to use the 40 multiply D, then you key in the length column.
Yeah.
So that they will software, they will record this one as your lapping, then you yourself you know that this is about the 40 times D.
Weight kg per meter. Now example T20 kg 2.47. Once I forgot the 3 by 3 16 or 320 340. Have a
Every single item you need to create them separately. Every single item you need to create them separately so that you record it when you want to check, it's easier, because even though you have the option really you can input everything inside one after you know that how many Ds plus everything you can multiply and put it inside, but they will make you difficult to check in the future. So whether this lapping hooks you can name by yourself so that you can keep track in the future whether this one, what is the multiplication. If let's say just now remember as you mentioned, okay, it's 40 Ds, so I don't use this length, then you adjust over here the count, okay, it's 40 times, then the D, then you just put in the diameter, but the figure will be very small. You can do the breakdown over here. Okay, then once you let's say 40D, let's say this one is 0.0 16. Okay, then I just update. The figure will be too small and not able to show it over here. So this is a flexibility for you. You can manually input. So if I have a lapping here, then you have any other thing, you just add here. Let's say there is extra bands, then you just multiply over here. What's the band? So I always advise that you just use the calculator to calculate, because you know, maybe you said the band here, just to put it inside is 5 times the D. So you name it over here, then you know that this one you already multiply 500 diameter, and let's say it's 0.06. Then insert inside, then you can keep the record. So anything you highlight, they show in green color, that means it's manually input. It's not related to the drawings. While this, when I click this, they will highlight. You show that you trace from the drawings.
Yes, but about one lap, I have a 1S.
Yes.
About
The whole stretch, you have a lot of lapping.
Yeah, a
Yes.
lot of lapping. How many count this? I count by Excel and add this.
Oh, you don't need to use Excel anymore. If there's a lot of lappings, you can just count, then you insert in the multiplier. After you calculated how many lapping.
Therefore, assist I assist the length totally about 60 meters. They have a lot of laps.
Yeah.
Yes, how many laps I have in this here? I show I have a put top and
From the front, you pull till the end.
yeah.
Then because that one you will just measure without any lapping. Then you will just do this lapping separately to add in the extra length.
So if we know that the standard bar length is 12 meters.
Yes.
We know that there'll be a lap minimum every 12 meters, and we have to set the.
You can input that inside. This one, this one definitely I can assure it can be done. When you have the drawing, you still have the query, you're not sure, come find me. I will explain to you. I can assure you, because from these drawings, it's quite pretty standard. It's very easy for me to just input this and that. This one I can assure that whatever you want to do the breakdown, there is an option or the workaround for the rebar here. Okay, so the next one is the masonry walk. Calculate the wall beam, it might be checked manually. Okay, this one, for the masonry work, I show you inside here, in this demonstration. So this is the things that when we want to measure that, we need to have the proper drawings for you to do the proper deduction. So let me open up the sample here.
Yeah, so typically we'll have to look at the floor plan layout, the RCP, the
Yes.
structural.
You need to
structural
look
drawings.
both drawing.
So you need a few to work together with. I mean, obviously it's easier from a model, but
So for this, just like this. So definitely when you start to do measurement, we'll input the default height. So this is option 1. This I put it the floor height 2.8 floor to floor without considering any beam, okay, in between. So let's say if I have this one, I put it the spacing, measure the length. So afterwards, when I measure on these drawings, and I just measure a separate line, how do we identify here? Because you see, you have 1, you have these 2. Just for example, on top of this, okay, on top of this wall, the beam size, you know clearly what is the beam size. Then there's an option whether you want to adjust directly based on the height, okay? Because maybe the beam height over here is 300. After you deduct, it will become 2.5. Then this is already deducted. When I have this and the other one I have not adjust, just for you to preview, you can view in 3D. So you can have the cross check over here that whether you have deducted or not. So this is for those to measure the beam. So in order to do this, you must really have the structural and the architectural overlap together. You must understand each of the wall, what is the deduction, and you need to individual input it inside. Adjustment, because this is not automation inside here. So the user must very clear that this wall overlap with which type of beam. Okay? Okay.
You can show this clearly. And can you have a structural drawing over on?
Okay, that is like I view separately, because I do not put it the drawing inside here.
Cannot.
Okay. because from these drawings is architectural, from my structural drawing definitely is different sheet of the drawings. So even though I put on top of it, this is a, I believe that you also Glotton before, okay?
Not here.
The keyboard course, okay.
No, we haven't.
Because the idea,
I think just to explain, this is our first toe dipping exercise
Okay.
into any form of automated or
yes, that would be good.
assisted takeoff. So.
Because normally I face a lot of questions is about specify on the software, their software, then they ask me the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so about this one is like you refer to the drawing, and CostX is just like the drawing act as the background. So there's not any features from the drawings that will appear inside. Just like, okay, I give you another example. I create another dimension. This one is for beam. Okay, let me just create another. This one is for beam. So let's say the beam heights. This one I just put 300. I use the length as well. So the default height I will put 300. And this is the beam. I change the color. Change the color. So the beam actually is on top of here. Okay. The beam is on top of here. So from here, the beam, this is like one beam I know. Then the offset from the floor, okay, from the floor I can put it the adjustment is 2.5. So this is my beam. Then when I show together with the wall that I did just now, and I view in 3 dimensions, so you will notice I created both to show you clearer. So I know that this is the beam, then the height it should be the same as just now. It's not automatic. You are the one to create them separately, deduct them separately. It's not automatic that the software do not detect that after masonry, after you input the beam, it's not deduction. It's not deduct. You are the one to define them. You must deduct. So the other way is if you want to do the deduction, okay, to show them specifically, I will show you in this number 2. So I have this beam here. Okay, I have a beam. I want to do deduction. I select the negative. Okay, then I select the same things over here, and this item number 3 is actually named as a beam. Okay, the beam height, for example, this one is 0.25. Okay, then from here, this offset is just for you to preview. Okay, just for you to preview. The main important thing that affects your quantity is this height. So if I do not adjust anything in my offset, I will show you in 3 dimensions here. So this is, they will show in the bottom, and I show both. Then you see that it's in the bottom. So I would like to show it higher. Okay, 2.7. Then it can show on top here. So this is the way that if you want to deduct, you want to show the deduction of the beam inside the wall, then you can do this way. If you don't want to show, you just adjust the height of the wall. It serves the same purpose. It's also the same thing, like how I did for this opening. So if for the opening, I select the negative. Let's say this is the 2 opening here, and I can show you this 3 dimension view. Then it can show in this way. So the same thing, you want to adjust the height, come over the dimension here, select them, each of them. Either you can just right click, change the height to 2.1, then you will reduce. Then the area is correct. And the other benefit over here is the door and window schedule normally received separately. So you can do all the masonry in the layout drawing, do the deduction in the other drawing. So CostX, not necessary you must have the positive quantity in order for you to deduct. You can have all negative quantity over here. Got it?
No.
Okay. So, no,
Sorry.
no
It's
problem.
okay.
No
Better to
problem.
say you don't get it.
Okay. So you see, I have all this negative item here. Okay, negative, negative, negative. If I delete this dimension and I delete this dimension, so you can see this is after I detect all this is negative, and you see the net quantity on top here is negative 8.11. So that's why it do not link, the negative is not linked to the positive. You can create them separately. Even in the different drawing, in the same drawings, it is up to you to control. Okay?
If you open
Plan view.
and upper down have a one window, you highlight the same areas.
Yes, if you have the windows on top, just like this one, just now, if let's say this is not an opening, it's a window, okay?
Yeah.
The window, the important for you to input the window is same thing, also the height. Let's say I put it 1.5. Then if I never adjust the offset, it will be lower down. But if you want to have a better view to clearer picture, you can adjust this offset 0.5, update it, then you can see, you can move it up.
They look like designer update.
That's why I mentioned the offset is not necessary, because the offset will never affect your quantity.
But the next step, you need view for the other looks this drawing. Maybe you not have an offset. I don't understood this window of
That is within your colleague. You need to you need to explain to them. But because the view in 3D inside CostX is like you only able to view this item inside CostX. You're not able to export or transfer the file out. So because CostX is the reading software, we are not the designing. If I use the Revit to do this, definitely you can export the file, everyone can see. So inside here is totally different. Just this, the purpose for the view in 3D, just for you to assure that you do the correct and you have the preview, you're confident that this deduction is as what I want. Okay, so the variation, the plan drawing. So if you want to create the variation on the elevation, you must have two elevation drawings for you to import. Because this one I will show you the revision tabs first, because I'm not sure that what you have gone through for the revisioning. So the way that we do the revision, definitely you must first do the first round of the measurement. This is the sample. I just show you the revisioning things that we need to go through. Based on the drawing, you do initial measurement. Whether it's a layout or elevation, you can do this. Okay. Once you completed initial measurement, you want to revise this area. You click the add button. This is my second revision. And you need to promote drawing, which means you need to select the new drawing or the revised drawing. So it's a new drawing file. Let me go for the file. Okay, this is my layout number 2. So once I open up the layout number 2, this is number 2, then I need to know that what is the variance first and second. There is a compare drawing for you to have a first round checking. They will overlap both drawings together and show you, you see the difference. And we give you all these layers, which is line deleted from initial, new line compared to initial, and the same line compared to the initial drawings. So from here we notice that this is a too small area, that there is a changes. And once I close this, and you want to confirm the variation, then you just select, you see, there has a warning sign here and the quantity became 0, because this is a revision. When I click this, software, they will load the initial measurement on top of this drawing. From here, it's very straightforward. You notice that this is a too small area you want to amend. Okay. We can allow the software to best match, which means software will try to track the line for you. After it tracks, you notice this is not the correct. You just adjust it. Once you adjust the area and you satisfy with it, you just click accept. They will update the measurement to the latest revision. Same goes to this UCA. You can delete this one and I click accept it. So this is the exercise. If you have any revision, no matter it's a layout or you measure from the elevation drawing, it's the same idea. Okay, the idea is the same. So this one, the measurement also we can bring it to our costing. So from the costing, if you have this initial budget, they will log it. And once we click the promote workbook, the software will refresh based on the revision and update the quantity accordingly. You can see we have the quantity 359. So for the management, definitely they want to know what is the impact for this any revision. If you have the costing, okay, you done the costing properly in the comparison reports, you can preview. This is just a quick preview for this revision. You can have the previous quantity, current, what's the variance. If you have all the rate attached, once you've done the revisioning or the variation, you already know the price impact for this revision. So
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but and that report we can base on any of our own templates.
this is actually fully customizable. It's not necessary you must follow this, because you can see if you would like to use your own template, this is under the standard here. Whenever you see there's a bracket system, it's not able to edit. But when I click this edit, you see they will come to this selection. This is the standard templates. If you want to customize something, okay, very special for BK Asia, so when you see, when I click this edit button, the designing of the reports, we have the tools for you to design. And this, normally I will not advise the client to spend time on this. If you want to have this, you just provide us your template. We will discuss internally and see whether it's easy to fix or you must get our programmer to fix for you. So if need to take a lot of times, then there might be certain charges will impose for the special templates. Okay.
I don't think from our point of view there's anything particular, because we don't have a love particularly or anything.
Okay.
So it's we use a system that we've used for we tweak it every so often. Yeah. So if there's a system, we haven't yet gone through the standards that are already in here, and there's no reason why, if it matches in terms of how we currently report, then it'd be easier to adopt rather than amend something we've got.
Yeah, because over here that, as you mentioned, you want to tweak the report, it's up to you. You want to input your company logo, each part, because this is just like a designing report templates. Any data that you want to input from here, you can just select from the list. So that's why, as I mentioned, if you want to create any costing view, any IPC, you can use this to customize according to each of your requirements. And you can store it in your server. Anytime you want to print out, you just select from the list.
Excuse me, about ceiling plan example, ceiling existing about ceiling high than 2.7, now variation change to 2.6 and 2.9 something. Have the checks on drawing, because on drawing have a note of revision not that CL for 2.7 and CL 2.6. Compare this note or compare only lines.
Okay, the ceiling, if let's say you're talking about the ceiling finishes, whether which level they are on, the area is still the same.
I think if for example, calculating the wall finishes.
The wall finishes, yes.
Yeah.
Wall finishes, then the way for you to calculate that is same like just now I show you the wall that I created. You adjust the heights. Yeah. Okay. So
But if we are done test new drawings and old drawing, where have a different about cities, have a different about wall finish or maceration things. Example, have S1 door units, reduce cost for fan finish or something, and only one plan something with variation where have only plan no section, no elevation.
Yeah, we might not get a full set of drawings.
Yes.
For example, for a variation, we might just get a floor plan layout that shows a different door, or it might, as you say, it might be a note that says ceiling heights changed from 2.7 to 285 or something like that. So with that, we then have to do the manual adjustments. Or
you need to do.
so if we don't have the specific drawing to read from, we'd have to do it manually.
You need to.
We need manual, that's okay, but we need add in CostX, so we are got full process by CostX. we can make and manual calculation from Excel to CostX.
The manual calculation that if you want to do, normally in the Excel you are doing in the workbooks over here. So just now in front here, the dimension view here, this tab, normally under the dimension group here, everything is rely on the drawings. If you don't have any drawings, and just like example that you mentioned just now, if you have anything that you want to amend, based on the drawing, you notice that from the layout, there is no difference. Okay, you cannot identify that whether the floor height is adjusted. They give you a note or anything. Okay.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So from here, that over here you have this one, then you need to identify that whether you want to amend the height due to the drawings, and this is the notes that you understand. You need to read. So that's why after you've done the measurement all over, you take charge. You must very clear that which one you edited. Every single things that. So once you know that the floor height, there is a lower it down differently. So you are the one who click this and change this in the revision. The software will never, because as you mentioned, I overlap both drawing. They do not show that the different floor height, but the engineer or any notes that still specify of this floor height reduced. So you need to find that anything related to this wall finishes or the wall height, change the default height.
Yeah, what I've in general, my understanding is that our QA is currently back end. After everything's been dimensioned and measured, we then check all the calculations. Actually, with this, it's more front end to make sure it's been labelled and set up properly. Because once it's done, then this
But the
takes over.
QA will be a lot easier because when you're in the workbooks, you've just got your live link. So any quantity you want to check, you click on the source button and it will take you back to the drawing, open up and show you where you got that measure from or multiple measures from. So from a QA point of view, it should be way easier.
Yeah, so but as just said though, if we set the ceiling height at 2.8 and it should have been 2.7, for example, that's a mistake on our part. We'll have to, that's something we would need to be able to verify.
Yeah.
But that's front end.
Yeah.
And rather than having to do the nutty manual checks on calculations in the Excel sheets to make sure that where we've had it before, where we've added in some new lines of calculations, but the total doesn't pick up the whole column, for example. That's not our issue with this. That's done internally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where that's the reason for this for me is to take away a lot of that checking.
Yeah. It saves a lot of time for checking inside. Everything will appear.
Yeah.
Okay. So the number 5, okay, copy and paste. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. So just for example, I done one of this bedroom or the area. If we have the other drawing, there's a few methods inside. Either when you first insert the drawing, let's say 8 floor commons, you can insert the multiplier here directly. So everything you measured, you multiply by 8. And if let's say for example your ground floor and the first floor, there's minor difference. Okay. So how do we make that changes? You can see I can select in area, actually can highlight all items that I measure here, and I can copy this dimension, then I select the other floor drawings and I can paste it here. Then if you the drawing, you can move until you have the correct alignments. So any item, specified item you want to copy one or you copy all of them, you can just, or you can just now I just click on top. You can use the Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, the shortcut key. Copy and paste. It's as easy as that. So once you've done this, close the edit control. And you can copy to different drawing, copy to the other side of the drawing. This is also workable. Okay, so this is just to copy it up. Or the other thing is you can just right click here, copy dimension group, which they will copy everything to new group. Just like I copy another one to the bedroom copy. So they will have the other copy. So you just right click and copy it down. Turn on and off control layers. Whether the layers they are meaning is these layers.
Question about cosplay and mask. You have an acid, acid, and vertical acid and drip acid. When you have the same scale, that's okay now. Different scale, how to copy, for example, for level 8 to level.
Okay, so if let's say you have different scale, just now you can see when I copy to the other drawing, after you copy, let me just adjust the scale to show you. So this one, I just put the scale 1 to 2. Okay.
Yeah.
After I adjust the scale to 1 to 2, all this area it should be updated accordingly. Then let me just highlight both of them. Okay. Let me delete all selected 14. All dimension. Okay. I deleted all of them. So this one, you see, both of the quantity is different, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing. When I select this one, same thing. I copy dimension. I go to the other drawing, and I paste it. So you notice that you see this area. When you try to move it inside to any place, it cannot mesh with it. Then you notice that the scale is different. Okay. So what you need to do is, you don't copy first, you need to make sure both of the scale is correct. That's why you can just double click here, make sure the scale that you adjust. Well, because the proper procedure is when you first open the drawing in CostX, you check the scale, confirm the scale in the list of the drawing, or it's adjust accordingly before you do any measurement, to avoid what you identified in the future, the scale is not followed properly.
Yeah, I mean, I think just from a manual point of view, we have to do that. If we've got hard copy drawings, or even when we get the CAD files, we've got to make sure the scales are all the same.
Yeah.
Is those instructions in the advanced manual or?
For this one, the latest advanced manual, I think inside the latest manual there is copy and paste.
So you've got access to both
We've-
intro and advanced manuals?
We've got those, yeah. I mean, for us, it's baby steps at the moment in that we are trying to absorb a lot of information really quickly at the moment.
And you're aware of the help files within CostX as well?
I haven't gone through it.
Oh,
so-
this one, the help file is very simple, just like the normal window. When you press the helps here, anything that you have question, you just type in, just like the Google search. If I want to know what is standard function here, then you can see the software will search for you.
Okay.
Then you'll search it up, any related. If you have any question about how to measure a length, you just type it inside. There's no topic inside, sorry.
Spell check.
So here, then you'll see,
Yeah.
they will list down, they will try to search the same words, same keywords for you.
Yep.
So inside here, you can try to search, and you'll see that
Oh, okay.
it's,
Perfect.
it's not all in the words, so normally there's step-by-step guides over here. But if they say you don't want to waste your time to look through all the manual, the fastest is to just email to us, and we'll just assist you.
Okay.
Okay, so just now we talk about the layers. So to deal with the layers, whenever you open the DWG in CostX, they will open with all the layers. So all these layers, when you open up, you see this is layer created by the designer. To filter these layers, definitely this is difficult code that we cannot understand. But then inside CostX, if you want to know, let's say for example, I would like to identify what is the layers for this sanitary feature, the bathtub, you just click inside the software, they will hide the layers. So this is also the same layers. You just click, they hide. Then there is an invert layers. When I invert, so I filter the layers. So you don't need to recognize all the code created by the designer. You just need to move your cursor inside the drawing. Just click whatever layer you want to show or hide. Then the software you can filter accordingly. Okay. So for the art, this art normally we will need to get the elevation drawings. From the layout drawing, definitely we cannot do anything. From the top view, that you can see it's only a straight line. You must get the elevation drawing for you to click the line. So for once you have this line, just for example, this is some curved line is for your arc. So for you to measure, I believe this is not any issue for you. So because if you want to measure the arc or any curved line, you just follow the line. It's easy to follow.
Yeah, it's more, I think that's supposed to be architectural.
Yeah,
rather
correct.
than arch.
So you
Yeah.
need to have the elevation.
Yeah, that's fine. I think this is, some of these questions are coming from their maybe lack of understanding from Friday. So.
Yes, okay, no problem. So then the other things that I see, there is a standard library, the POMI library. So this one is related with the costing here. So there is depends that which library that you download from that, then you can insert inside here as a faciologist.
Right. For example, we use POMI for most of our works at the moment. So how can you just run me through?
Okay.
Because on Friday we used I think it was the AIQS standard, which we
We
certainly
have a
don't use.
POMI.
For me, let me see. I downloaded that before. Let me have a quick check. Huh? So under here, faciologist, I select the import. Before that, let me just have a quick check the faciology that I copied down.
Okay.
Downloads here, CostX file, faciologist.
So why POMI are you using? Just
Why?
for lack of anything else, is that
POMI is something we've historically used in Vietnam because the contractors have been less. It's simpler for them to price. We did a test of price measurement using POMI, and it was an old SMM7 I did from the UK, and I got contracted to price both. And actually, because they've got line items, they didn't understand it. They were adding a rate to it, and the cost for pricing under POMI was more than for SMM7 was more than POMI. And it was only because they had a line item, they didn't know what it was, and they put a rate against it. So we've historically found that POMI is a simple BQ format that they understand, and it's easier for them to price. It's more in line with contractors thinking than maybe a surveyor's thinking.
I don't copy that now. I need to download. Then I see that whether you have this.
Yeah, this password should be written down just on the desk over here. I think.
No, it's on the remote.
It's been taken out.
No, it's on the remote. God knows why.
It's on the tram remote.
What about others, QS firms in Vietnam? That really don't think
Some don't use any SMM. They just there's a government
You can copy and
format
paste in Excel.
in
Then
Vietnam
copy and
which
paste inside. You can edit from there.
follows TCVN standard, which is mostly for government projects, and they use it for infrastructure. It's not really that good. Measurement for under TCVN. Other QS firms, I don't actually know what they would typically use. I've seen the old Singapore method of measurement, the old SMM2, I think it was, and we've used that on. We haven't used it, but we've been told to use it by a client from Singapore before. But if we're given the choice, then we'll use POMI. It's simple. It's quicker to measure as well. So there's a lot more included.
Okay. So this
working.
This is the file that I download from our website. So for me, faciologist, when you have the license, you log it inside, there is a faciologist tab. Then you're able to search, there's a POMI faciologist.
Okay.
So you just downloaded that, then come over here. You must close the building before you import anything. So from the import button, you just look for the downloaded file, POMI faciologist, and you just open it.
Okay, can you give me an idiot's guide to that so that we've got it?
Okay.
Because at the moment, I don't think it's in ours.
No, you're going to download it from the website.
Download from website, yes. Yeah.
I'll let you do it.
You log on to the website and go to the phraseology button.
Okay.
We don't have our username and passwords yet at the moment either.
Oh, for you to access the faciologist, there is a serial number key. You already activate your license, you just input the serial number,
Right.
16 digit, then you can come to this page.
Remember? Yeah, here.
Yeah.
So he's not giving it to us
I
yet.
sent the email, right?
Did you?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does Miss Nyan got that? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. This is also the same place that you download all the resources and you example all the file that you want to have, and even the documentation of the manual is all inside here.
You should get an email as we, release new versions of CostX.
Okay.
But if for some reason you just want to double check where you're up to, you can go in there as well, and all the latest releases are there.
There's a few light bulb ones going for me. Yeah, okay.
There's a lot to take in, and
Okay.
All right.
So from here, so let me just start with the left minutes.
I mean, ideally, I'd like, for methods of measurement, ideally I'd like to get us all up to speed with the UNRM.
Yeah, well, we have all those in
Yeah.
too, so at some point you can start to familiarise yourself with.
I'll get them all.
Once you import inside, then the whole list will be inside. So everything is inside. Then whether you would like to create a standard template based on POMI, this is the initial stage. You might need to copy and paste, and you might need to select them one by one to create the templates. Or if anytime you want to refer to this library, you just select them, drag it. Then
So there's two schools of thoughts. You can use the phraseology and just piecemeal take across the ones that you want to use for that particular project, or you create a POMI template and you delete stuff. So you're either inserting into a blank workbook, or you've got the entire one and deleting. So it just depends on what people.
you can do both way. So because
We'll need to, I think what we have to do first is get a template that works for general buildings that we use.
Yes.
In
And I'm
Vietnam.
assuming you already have POMI in an Excel format.
We have, so
So that is very easy just to cut and
But-
paste that over,
but
but
my issue is that it's been played around with so much
Yeah.
that
so if you need to task someone, I guess, with having a look at this one compared to what you've got. And
that's the easiest. I think the easiest way for us is to import the whole lot and then
Yes, correct.
get it back.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I'm just, the other thing is we've got to, we're asked a lot by clients to have it in dual language, so that's something we'd have to do manually. But for example, if we had someone go through the standard item, the library of descriptions, and do a translation of that, we could save that as our version of
yes,
of
definitely.
POMI,
Yeah.
so that we've got that already in there.
Yes.
Because that's taken a lot of time for us.
Yeah, and that's why we work on templates, because every time we start a new project, base it on the previous one, and a lot of all the information's already established and the links are already there. And,
So
you also want to set up like a standard dimension group list as well. You can still add ones in, but you've got a standard for particular types of projects.
So
I mean, there are some examples whereby POMI doesn't have enough detail to allow us to do proper measurement. It doesn't really help us, for example, with piling diaphragm wallworks. So we might, for that particular section, we might adopt it from SESM 3 or maybe from another method of measurement, and have a set of preambles for that.
I think we've got SESM. Can't remember, I've been asked a million times in the Middle East about this, and I can't remember whether we have it. I do, so
SESM 4, okay.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
So anything that you import inside, they will list down over here. As you mentioned, if you want to alter or anything, you just click the edit button. Whichever you want to amend, you just select it, and you further edit. Then you can start to type it. Once you type it, they will be stored in your library. So everyone they're using here, they can refer to the same.
Do you have network licenses, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to just quickly show them, Andy, some of the permissions?
Okay. If let's say
I know that's not on your list, but that's kind of
Yeah,
important for
it
what
was.
you're doing.
Huang basically very briefly touched on that on Friday. So in terms of who's got permissions to do what and so
yes, you can control. So under the user permission, you can see administrator, delete, then whether they are allowed to export all this.
Yeah.
So normally the user, we only allow them to add, but not allow them to delete. So they cannot, it's considered they cannot sabotage your project.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cannot delete, they only can create.
Yeah, even if it's by mistake, it's just
Yes.
we don't
Yeah.
want to be doing that.
So you must have certain authority for you to delete the item. So just like if they do some mistake, at least you know that they would like to delete this one and you want to do the delete.
Report editing? Don't want people to change your reports all the time, just key people.
Excuse me, if I have a one, you can have a format needed the same this. So for my boss, I don't have a quantity, but I want to add this bill to cut it before so the other people check out quantity and fill this quantity in. I can add this.
You just, the adding is like you highlight the content description you want, just Control C, come over here, Control V. They can copy and paste. Is able to copy and paste from Excel inside CostX.
Have a change this when everything is in the format correlation everywhere.
Okay, this one, let me just show you. I
Are
think I
you
have
also aware that we have CostX Viewer, which is a free download? So you don't need to buy them or have a license, so that anybody can download the viewer. But it's just read only, so you could use it internally for people auditing others' work. They just can't make any changes to
Yes, that is the one that
because
we
you've only
need
got
to
2
first.
licenses at
First
the
thing
moment.
is that this VQ you need to
Might want
copy and
people
paste
to
it inside.
download the viewer
So
and be
I
able
show
to
you the
look at a
sample.
project and start auditing.
So let's see,
that.
this is the
Alternatively, like
information I
mine,
have
you might
here.
want them to download the
Can
viewer.
highlight.
You can
Oh,
export the project, click
Control C.
out the drawings or,
Come over
you know,
here.
whatever you don't want them without your rates or, you know, whatever you don't want them to see.
Then I can
And
control.
they can view a project within CostX Viewer.
Okay.
And CostX Viewer is
It's just like that.
available
You
on
must
the
make sure
website.
the
You can
column
download it.
that you have is
I
correct.
knew of it,
So
I
you can
wasn't
just
sure
copy and
exactly
paste it
what
inside.
purpose of it
It's
Because
just a
just now
free
you see I have
download,
some lot
but,
of
you know, I do know companies that use
One
it
is
internally,
easy
but
to
a lot of
some
them,
kind of,
even if they wanted to go
and
out
any
of the
breakdown,
office,
you can
because
just
you have a
highlight
network
here.
version, you have a
Also
on
the
your
same thing,
laptop,
Control
you
C.
can go to a meeting and show
Then
somebody
you
a
come over
project.
here to paste.
and
It's
work
just a
with it that way.
copy and paste. There's no any,
So it saves something to export everything out to, say, an Excel. We can do it through QR.
Yeah, and then you can do things like show source, so you can actually see that quantity in the table, where that actually came from on the drawing.
Ah, okay.
It's very
Very
good
useful, yeah.
with revisioning and things like that, variations to show this is what it was, what it is now, overlay the
You can
drawings.
change this file
Kind of can't
to
argue with it.
CSV.
Well, see,
oh, okay.
that's one of
That is,
the
different things, huh?
the big issues that
There's
we sort
something
of flagged
in the
up.
system and
that if we've got the network license,
information
but we
when
can't
you
access
import
the
using
network well
CostX
when we're off
CSV.
on
But
site,
if you
you know,
want
out
to
to the office.
copy and paste
How do
from
we
Excel into the
show
mobile here,
all the work
you
in?
just copy the
We,
code.
we will be.
You just
We're
copy
getting
and paste it inside.
a
The
VPN
CSV,
Oh,
set up on
there's
the server.
some features.
Well, that
It's
might not be
CSV
as
file
big
is
an
for you
issue
to
then.
No,
copy
at
in
the
the
moment we
library
don't,
inside.
for sure.
But at the moment, we can't access our
You see,
our
yes,
network
import
outside
here.
of the office.
So a lot of
This
people
is
do
the
buy
thing,
portable
there's a CSV.
licenses, and
So it's
portable
different
licenses
things.
can
So
operate
what
as
I
standalone
saw
or a
inside
network
your
version,
is the
so they
normal
can plug
BQ.
that into
You just want to
server,
copy and
when
paste the
they're not
description
offsite,
inside.
they just go
Then you
into the
just
footer.
highlight,
But if you're
open
leaving,
both file,
you can take
and
the
copy and
dongle
paste it
with the
inside directly.
license.
But if we've got this
different
free
thing.
CostX
Yeah.
viewer that we
Just
can just
remembering you can't change anything,
well,
but all
but
you
at
do
this
is
point
view it.
we're just showing
Yeah.
working and showing methods,
That's
and
right, that would be fine.
then we can
If
make the
somebody did a
changes back
change
in the
back in the
office.
office, you've got to remember that, you know, what you took out isn't necessarily the most up to date one, but that's just a
And you can copy and paste.
I think that's probably
Just copy and paste it into
as
the
much as we
description.
would need.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Uh-huh.
So, and
that
the only
case
thing
is-
the only
that's why-
thing
that's
we're
how we
looking at is,
explain
for
whether
example,
you
if we go to
take
site
standard
and we
technologies.
update for our
This
cost report or our
technologies,
payments
you can
to
amend it
progress.
for your future reference you want to
We,
use.
we export
And
to Excel,
this description
do that,
is your work.
and then re-import
So
it
it depends how
back
you receive the file.
afterwards.
Whether you want
just to
to
update.
keep inside here.
I mean,
whether you
ideally
keep
we
the
don't need to
Excel,
do that, because
copy
ideally
and
we'll
paste,
have
connect to the network.
the network connection and
Mm.
it'll be straight up. I mean, the whole point at the moment is this is just a test, so we bought 2 licenses just to see how it works. If we can get everybody on board with it, then
How many have you got here?
we've got, well, we plan about 11 QSs at the moment, so.
You're growing as well?
It's really difficult. I try and grow and then just, as you pointed out earlier, there is no access to a graduation program for guys that do QS. So we have to get civil engineers either from university or close enough from university that they haven't learned any bad habits from contractors or sometimes other QS firms. So we try and get them so we can.
Do you get people from the Philippines and other places?
It's kind of, we have in the past, but the struggle is that they need to be able to speak Vietnamese. And you know, we get by without it because we've got everybody here. But there's no point in having other QSs that can support.
Do you have much of a relationship with Rex here, or have they much of a presence? Or?
They have finally started to take an interest.
Well, this is the second time we've tried.
They had an office here, or they had a representation here a number of years ago, and then left.
It just went, yeah.
Yeah.
There
Which
were
is probably
organising
true, they have
CPD
maybe
events
a
and
presence,
everything.
but not necessarily any QS feel that might
It's
be
mostly
more
general
realistic.
If you
practice,
use CostX, you don't need to use this anymore.
But
If you, because this one is
So
breakdown
they
to
do have
lift
a
and
local
height
office.
separately.
Yeah.
So this list,
right
you
now
can
they
store
don't. Right now
under
it's
the
coming in
dimension
from
group here.
Singapore
This is
and
the group, so you
Singapore,
see
Hong Kong.
your door with
So
B1,
Marcus
B2, right?
Lim, I think it
So
is.
We do have a lot.
He's quite, in relative
Yes.
terms, he's quite new. He's,
Correct.
I
So
think
that's why
and it's only
inside
because of
here,
his
if let's say this
appointment
is the
that
normal
it's
template that we use, you see under my
it's
system
reinvigorated
information,
in places
I
like
can
Vietnam.
insert a standard
So,
dimension group
you
here.
know, what we
Let me
often
just
do with
insert
RCS
name.
or
So I just
AQS
put
or
it
NZIQS,
DA
whatever it might be, is
01.
if within a region,
So
we try to
this
have
is
a
the-
relationship with them.
Normally we
And
measure
like,
this one by
offer
count,
to kind of
this
do
one is under
CBD
the
events
doors.
or, you know,
So you know that the height of the door.
everybody loves hearing
is
about BIM and we know all about that, so
2.2.
a session on that, but
So
here
if you have
it would just
any
be
detail of the
basic,
measured dimensions,
take off
so there's a length, there's an
technology
area.
as well,
So
so
this length,
maybe that's something,
let me just delete
and
this
what's
one.
good is if we
This
did
one
do a
is the
CBD event like that,
door
that,
area.
you
So
know,
I see
we
the
have
first
someone
one is
who knows what they're talking about,
0.7
we get a client
multiplied
like
2.2.
yourself that would
So I
love to
got the
share,
area,
you know,
but this one I put
your
it for
like
area is
transition
better. I
into
don't put the
CostX.
area because the understanding
it's
inside
not
CostX
meant to
area
be
is
a
the
marketing
surface
thing
area.
as such,
What area is
you
the
look
vertical
at the
area.
ugly
This
type
is the
thing
two
of
different.
Yeah, I think
how
so.
that went
And
and
any
this
kind of
length,
exposure like
it
that's
will
always
act as
good
like
for everybody, I think.
But what you'll end up
the
finding
length
it
two
too,
times the
is you'll
height,
get all
one
these
time of the
people,
width.
it'll
Okay.
take a number of years,
So
but
then
you get
from
really
here you know that
juice
the
in the
so you
region.
can use
They all
2.2
made, we spoke to a guy today,
plus
who's at
0.7
TT and he
plus
was at Altus
2.2. So
before
you know
and
that
he knew the guy we
vertical,
were gonna see
horizontal,
later this
vertical.
afternoon
So
and
you
he'd
got
be
the
like, okay,
length
so,
of the
you know,
door
obviously
opening.
they move around,
So
just like
with
do
this
everybody else,
information,
so
you see
at
the
least
height
you
is
get new people
2.2.
and they
You
actually
just
know how to use
apply with
CostX.
all this
Yeah,
information
we've just
inside.
advertised for QSs.
If you have the width inside
the
here,
little line at the end
0.7
is
just for
CostX
extra information.
advantage, so
The input under
See
the
what you
cluster.
get,
So
yeah.
this
Well,
is
you never know, I
the
mean,
notoriously
width.
different.
this guy,
It's
TT
in the
had done the training at Altus.
You see,
Now
once I
he's,
input all this
TT have a
information,
lot of
I
licenses,
insert
they
it
just don't
inside,
have them here 'cause there's
they will
just a couple
list
of guys who
my
work
standard
and stuff
dimension
like
group.
that. You know,
I
like
can
to use
select
that
here
project
to
sort of
include
role.
by default.
And that's when
Okay,
some of the
what is the
universities
difference
start
include by
getting
default
a bit
inside here?
interested because,
There's a door
you
one.
know, there's a bit of
Okay.
abuse out there.
You
in
see,
the
when I
marketplace
start
that
up with
want to
a
train
new
students up in it.
project,
So
Well,
we
exactly.
do have licenses in 3 universities
the-
at the moment, but how well it's being used, I'm not
when I
sure.
start a new project,
Just do. I mean,
next
we-
time in the
I-
future, because
I've
I
been to
input all this
University
list
Technology a few
inside my
times.
computer, then you see,
So the dean of civil, the dean
BA1.
of engineering, just
you
to
can have this
one is to
library
get us on
stored
their awareness
initially.
program. For
Any project you
graduates, so
start up, you have this list.
they don't just go to the
That is
contractors,
the
they
option.
come
That's
to
why
the
you can. I
consultants.
can see that you have
Two
all
is
this
to try and
library
get
that you calculate
with
here
the
and you key in
ICS
here
or
one by
somebody
one.
else,
So
some sort of module.
there is a common thing
that
that
can get
if
added
this
to
is a
their
common thing, you can slide
final
inside.
year
If it's
training
not
so that
common
they
thing,
can
then every time you do,
have
you
it as
just
an
create.
option.
You need to
Well,
be
this
creative.
unit, NUSE, so that's in Hanoi, that was much.
Okay.
They have, just trying to find my email about that. They have CostX and I've been emailing the person who looks after the institutions within Exacta just to find out what's going on, but he had said, for your information, we're in the process of developing the program with new quantity taking a short course wherein there should be an introduction of
Because
CostX.
the rest of it
Um,
is already explained.
and
MEP definitely no
This is
issue
Professor
because it's just measure the length and the numbers.
no,
100%. If you understand the concept of the context, definitely there's no issue for you to measure MEP.
Professor Bayer.
Just like the
Well,
mechanical
well,
demonstration. Yeah.
And so we're just following up
So
now with him
this
now
one
to say,
is
did
just
that
like
actually get off the ground? Are you doing
Get the
it?
drawings here,
and that's the
and you
NUC,
can start to do the measurements
CE.
National University.
right here
So
based on the length. So the MEP,
They've
you
got
cannot run
100.
away from length
we
and
give
count
free
numbers.
institutional licenses and
Yeah,
free
that's why
student
CostX
licenses.
is
They've got
not
100
a
of them.
software that
Okay.
can measure
But you don't
building
really
only.
know
They
yet
can
how
measure
well
stuff if you
they've
have the
used
earthwork,
or
civil
I don't know
work,
when that
bridge
was
work,
written, that was just a
anything.
note that was
As
in
long
our
as you have the
CRM
skill,
and
proper
that they were
drawings,
thinking
you
of
can
doing
do
this,
the
so
thing of
that
taking
kind of
off more
prompted them. I
measurements.
said, well, did it happen? So they've
So
gone
how
back
about
to him
doing
to
any
kind
sort
of
of
find out.
automatic
So
takeoff
that
based
kind
on
of
a
person
Revit
would
model?
probably be
Okay,
great.
that
The
one
other
is the
one
interesting part.
Denying
Right, okay,
University of
because we've got
Architecture,
actually-
they've got 100
that's the-
licenses.
That's a
Don't
bit
know
that we wanted to use
how they use
for
them.
this a university project.
accepted
that
his
we're talking
architecture,
about.
so I'm assuming they're probably more
Because
interested in Revit.
It's all well and
And
good
then
being able to stick
the
all of the
Institute
measurements
of
in and
Construction
do it
Economics,
yourself.
they
Yeah.
had
We've already
20
got the model.
licenses, and
Yeah,
this is
the
the contract there.
that one is like
But
you need
they've
to
just expired
first
and they haven't come back to
input
say
the
they wanna
measurement
renew it.
rules
But doesn't mean
You
they're
need to
not,
do the
but just,
mapping.
Yep.
we haven't heard from
So
them, but,
I show you the sample
that's
here.
the contact name.
This is my
Now, is that
demonstration.
in Saigon? Is that?
Functional material. Okay, I
Institute of
first
Construction.
show you this
Institute
sample.
of Construction Economics is in that area.
This is the file DWF, which I
So
mentioned
what, a
just
lot
now.
of the universities are in Hanoi, aren't they?
Then this is
So
the
a lot of
model.
US firms are sitting
So
here.
when you first
The
open the model,
the construction
you
economics
have the
is
option here. We can check through what
where
item they provide inside.
the
I can press the E button.
QSs, or they call them cost
with my
engineers,
mouse.
want
They
to,
can slowly cut through the
or
video.
typically will
see
work
any
on
other things
on
that you
government
have.
projects where you have
inside.
to have this qualification to
The
get in and do
what
it.
we
So they're
mean
not
about the
they're
BIM,
not
BIM is
QSs
the information.
per
I
se,
is
but
the
it's probably
crucial
the
thing for
closest
us
you'll get to it.
because
Cost engineers,
about
yes.
the I,
Probably.
when I show
Yeah, I
That's
the
the
see
dark
that.
side.
properties,
Yeah.
This is, you know,
this is all information
So it's-
input by the designer.
they
Then
have
for the
a certain
S part,
mindset as
how
to
do we
things
take off?
are done,
This is the name that they
which
create.
is not
For QS,
I would say,
this is the one that we need
the
dimension.
practical applications for that.
You receive a
in,
model, but when you
um,
open using
private
CostX, you
enterprise
never see any
world
dimension.
is-
That is useless
it's
for you.
mostly for civil
They
engineering.
just visualize.
So like highways
So
and bridges and
there's
things
also
like that.
consider
You
not
try
the
and translate
beam
that
model,
into a
not the
five-star
proper, because
hotel and, you know,
when we talk about the
it
beam,
just
the
doesn't
information
work.
is the important. They don't provide
They've got
information, it's
certain
there,
cost
it's
estimate
useless.
formats,
Yeah.
they've got certain methods
So,
of measurement. they've
when
got
we have
pricing
this sort of
books.
height and
They
width,
all-
everything,
If it was
I just give an
flexible enough to
example
cover all
for this
types
door.
of projects, then it would be okay. But
from
it's
this door,
very
and when
focused
move
on that.
out, they direct go to the wall.
Mhm.
So just like this
For
door,
my
when you want to
paint
measure,
drawings
you
is
need
that
to measure
one
the
of the reasons
hinges,
why every
doorknob,
project
painting of
is
wall,
always
architrave,
over budget.
or there is a
It's just
lintel on top.
So are there other
The lintel
universities
will
in
never
the
appear
science
in the
and
model,
career
no matter how good.
Yeah,
do
there's quite,
engineering?
there's
The
quite a few.
quantity of
I'll send
lintel
you,
is
if you
referred
want,
to
I'll
the
send you a
door.
link to
That'd be
them all.
really
Here,
Yeah.
I show when you want to measure this, I create this
Because you've got
dimension
University of Architecture here.
lintel,
And
You'll
then
lose
drop
that.
so you're
Okay.
like-
Yeah.
then I use the length. So this length, how do I map it to my beam information? There is
Yeah,
a beam
because,
dimension.
we could reach out
Just
to
now I
them
show
and,
you is using measure.
introduce
Measure is
CostX
you
to them, but
That's
control, you key in.
Yeah.
The beam is they read from the
it's
model.
something we can do in conjunction
The
to
length
actually get
over here.
the benefits of maybe
While the
students
length-
out of it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as I say, I was trying to do with
The
the
width.
RICS, and I think, look,
You just select
Marcus
the width.
seems to
The
be
lintel, there's a
overloaded
Bit
both
on
sides.
each end.
since he's
Yeah.
come on board.
So let's say both sides is under 50. I just
So
plus
they've
0.3
started with these
Then I close
CPA
this.
programs.
and it's a,
I don't know, I think there was
So,
8 people
lintel is
attending
0.
alone
When I
on
click
that
this
first
door-
one that you did.
Oh, okay.
So,
and we're gonna look.
I mean, I understand.
1.22
it's like
meters.
for us, you kind of
So
pick
just now
battles
we
and
saw
what's
the
biggest
width is
markets and
915.
things like that.
So
For us,
already
Vietnam's
plus
not
300
particularly
become
big.
1215.
So therefore,
Then the
you
software
know,
they will
we
round
obviously
up,
look at other markets that
round it up. That's why you
QSs
get
are
this.
really
So
prevalent.
the
Exactly.
process for you to
Um,
implement
yeah.
them is you
But, I
need
mean,
to
you guys
identify
are
which
booming here,
data you
it
want
seems
and you
like
map
there's
it
a lot of work to
accordingly.
come.
Mhm.
When
the
you
demand
manage
is
to
huge.
come out under the dimension here,
It's just the
there is a
supplies.
model map. This is the mapping that you need to create
we have
in
real
order
issues.
to
Not, I
capture
wouldn't say issues
everything.
retaining staff.
Once you
but
have the
keep
proper
the good
mapping,
ones.
you can see I have
You're
some of
ending
the
up-
samples here.
They're getting paid a lot of money
When you have
to-
all this proper mapping,
So
you
it's
can
more
just select
expensive here
import
than it is in
and
Philippines
using
for
consider as a
It's
template.
crazy. But
And that's
But you
how it
need
look like.
like
When you
a-
have
you
the
had a
proper
good
mapping,
RSI,
everything you already map
CS
correctly, or let's say
group,
this
yeah.
door,
Yeah,
they will
kind
map
of
according
that
to
would
this
lobby
lintel length and
universities
height,
to get a
or
QS.
any
yeah, I
other
think
part.
you need that presence. to
Here
do it.
it will save your time, then
I mean,
you
we're-
can see everything
They're
is
gonna
done.
listen to us often.
This one is considered
Well,
like
this is
Well,
they'll,
like-
it'll always be the ulterior.
When you want to
motive,
check
that's
structural
all.
column,
But the RICS for
already
sure,
mentioned everything.
it needs it. And
Transparent.
I just don't
This is
think
all
they've
the
got the.
Mhm.
Now, how do we capture? You
I
can
have-
see they will abstract based on the name they define.
Because they work here.
Then they will
can
do
also,
all the length in
you
the
know,
same name.
fly off and,
The
you know,
implementation
work
of the
in
beam and definitely the
Exactly.
beam take off.
for Singapore,
From now I show is little bit easier.
Much more
For you to
money
implement this one,
than
you must keep in touch with me because
No, I
even
agree.
the proper
It's
training for the beam,
We've
one whole day,
had these
Right.
discussions.
just for beam
with,
take off only.
the dean of engineering.
So,
he fully
There is a
supports
part that we are going to
It's
teach
getting
is how to
the
import,
next
how
step
to
as to
create a
how
more
that's
model
gonna be
mapping.
implemented.
Everything is
We
depends
need-
on the model
or-
and the information need to be.
We would need
there.
something like the RSS.
So
to come
I
up with
will
some course
show you
material
little
and say,
bits
let's
on the
introduce this as part of
Beam
your
file
curriculum.
here. And the designer actually they can
That's why
create
they hang
this
on the curriculum.
reinforcement
There's a
bar.
million QS courses out there.
Yeah, but who develops it though?
This is
That's
where
the
you
university
fully
themselves.
implement the
The
beam.
university would just
Now you see
employ
this is a
somebody
structural
who's,
model,
Mm.
you know, the head lecturer
and I
at
can
QUT in Brisbane
select from
or
the
the
model
Yeah.
here
head lecturer in
Structural
Hong Kong,
rebar.
she was about,
This is
Hong
the
Kong.
reinforcement bar. And
Yeah, and then
what's the
for them to
university
do,
there, but,
you can see the
and then they would have to
properties.
get that maybe
They have all these
approved
structural
by
rebar,
sanctioned
then you can see how
RCS,
many
so
partition,
you would
height,
get
shape,
you can
okay.
use that
All
as
this
your
information is
CPD
there.
hours for the year,
And
whatever it is.
model
all
maps
they joined.
that I show you
Yeah.
here,
is they
when I
joined
click
forces
edit,
with,
this is how we map the
Singapore
information.
University or,
They'll come to here,
whatever, and it's a joint kind
and
of
when I
thing
select
for a
this
few
rebar,
years to get
there's a
people
partition
prerequisite
rebar
place and
which
a
you can map from
course.
the information. When the software,
I guess they're only going to
this
do it
information
if they
at the
make some
bottom
money.
is
I
the
think
object properties.
From a university point of view,
When I
the
right
demand
click,
is definitely there.
they show in vertical.
They,
But when I open up the
the
schedule
one
at
the
the
one I've
bottom,
talked
It's
to,
horizontal.
they,
yes, they will
they
do
get
every
300
information. It's
350
very easier for
final
you
year
to do the
civil
mapping.
engineering students.
Just like I want to map anything, I just click and drop.
80% of them go to contractors
Okay.
as engineers.
So
So
you
whether it
can
be
see I
site
can map the
supervisors,
quantity,
design
total bar
engineers,
length, bar diameter.
and the remainder
So
will
everything
go
I can
into
map according to the
sort of private sector
table.
from
Right.
a
So once I
side,
have
or they
this
go into design
information,
companies.
Yeah.
even for me to
Um,
do the reinforcement bar take off, I just need to select
But they're just
import
the ones
using the
that go
model
there, I
mapping.
mean, that's them not
And I
really
select this
knowing
one.
that there's probably
No, without
something else
without
out
the
there.
And the
awareness,
software will
exactly,
run
there's
through
no awareness.
the
It's-
mapping that you save
Yeah,
in
They're
there,
still getting that kind of volume.
and you'll
so
capture
they
everything
have to be
according
done.
to the
I think there's definite demand.
properties that you
There's
define.
demand for it.
I
beam,
know, I mean,
rebar,
is it
R10,
difficult to attract
or the R10, 1B1, 1B2.
university lecturers?
You
Okay.
capture everything, you do not need to do any
I don't
measurements.
know what.
No, so
what
all you
extent
need to
there
do
are
is just
overseas
tell them
university lecturers.
which element
You want to
goes
map
where.
correct,
I'm
yes,
scared
that
to
is
set
the
foot
thing
in
for you to
university.
implement the thing.
I've
Which
been
will
in one
save
for-
you a lot of time.
See,
Well,
that's the bit that we're really interested in, but we're still waiting for the designers to develop their
Correct, correct.
design to this sort of level.
That'll
That
be
would
tutoring
be
for the CostX, whatever subject,
The
measurement
issue
101,
is
measurement
that
201, measurement 301 each year.
Yeah,
they
because
Um,
even
use CostX
even in the
and
my
they
country
do
in
their lecture
Malaysia,
and then they do the
the
tutorials
designer they
and,
still design
you
in
know, they're
2D.
quite young.
They just
They're
pass the
QS
drawing to
student,
the
they're
modeler
QS
to model in
staff, whatever
3D.
these
So
companies,
there is
but
not
they
a
go
proper
as
way
a
for
tutor.
build implementation.
Sure.
Follow
Build
a
is
program
they
and
need to
teach them
design
stuff, and
in
that's
3D
how once
directly,
again they have
then
to
they
do it,
extract
'cause that's
the
how they get
2D
the
separately.
2D.
Correct. So it's not the reverse.
Yeah,
So
it's- they're all
we're still
savvy.
waiting for the designers to
Since you type
catch up with
CostX
the
into
software,
Sync in
basically.
Australia, I'm like, just all these jobs come up because everybody asks for that
So
Yeah.
experience.
which will make save you a lot of time when you extract the rate. You see, the model mapping is done. When you want to do a quick estimating, you
This
just
is in modelling and how we can use it to take off really quickly.
You're getting excited now.
Almost as excited as when I got my new chair. This has been a great week.
Sam got a new chair this week. Little things, you know, it's just.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I know.
About unit range, you can
It's the perfect employee, if that's what ticks his box, then he's shared.
I've been waiting for 10 years for this
unit
chair.
rates. Okay, about the unit rate. So just now when I show you something like the demonstration just now, because there's something that just now I see the question mostly is on the take-off part.
Mm.
Maybe the costing part you still have not explored to the workbook part yet.
Yeah, they
So-
didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
They-
So this is a sample. When you start out workbook, the standard template is code A to H is fixed. Okay, it's fixed for the standard BQ format. So for you to input the data into your BQ description, as you know, BQ description you can look for the facialities or you can just type it inside. Okay, then the breakdown inside here, the spreadsheet quantity, rate, and subtotal. This is the 3 column you can double click to do the breakdown. You see when I double click quantity, QTY, this is quantity breakdown spreadsheet. When I double click at the rate, they come to the rate sheet, it's a rate breakdown. So when I double click at the subtotal, you go to the second level, heading is finishes. Then let's say I put I have the carpets, I have towels, I have some skirting. So this is just a sample I show you here. On the quantity, because we did the measurement, this down here. To bring it inside, it's as easy. Bedroom corridor, you just click and drop it inside. So once you drop it inside, they will show in green color. This green color is the mapping to the drawing. So if you have any query about this quantity, there is a button called show source. You click that, software will search through your drawing file from where you did this measurement, list everything up. So anything that you have queried from here, once you delete this, 289 and you refer it back, actually it's updated inside here. So this is what we call as live link. It's easier for you to check out. And if I want to do the skirting, I select this bedroom. Okay, that's my length. So there's some deduction because maybe when you do the measurement, you do not deduct the opening. Okay, then you can deduct in the workbook itself. So you can, just like in Excel, you do the deduction, select for the doors, then you put it inside, link with your door, each of them the width example. This one is meant to be deducted, you put -1. So very Excel type of the breakdown. Once you completed all this, there is a rates. Okay, this rate, same thing, you can have the rate library based on your previous project or quarter project or done any breakdown, you create and save it inside. When you want to refer to this rate, you just select, look for them, and same thing, you drag it inside. To link it, you just drag and drop. If you would like to prefer to do the breakdown, you also can double click, then you can do it yourself. Label, plant, material, how you want to link it. This is also up to you to do the breakdown.
Yeah.
Then they will give you a total of 100. So if you have this quantity, so let me just put some quantity inside. Okay, so everything is just drag, drop inside. You can also key in like this, and it will be give you a final total finishes something like this. Price BQ. The sample of the BQ is just like this. This is one of our sample. Concrete, the breakdown is we need here. And here comes, if you would like to print out, here comes to our report here again. Select the report that you have inside CostX, and you can print out nice and neat. You do not need to insert the margin, header, footer, just like in Excel. You need to keep on insert page, copy and paste the header, add the words containing. Yeah, that is time consuming. And this is why we have these reports editing, which assists you. They'll bring the content from the workbook, put it inside the report. Then you'll make every page you print out is like this, nice and neat. Every page you see when I go down, the line is all aligned. And the words containing is automatically added. You don't need to insert. So,
half my editing now. It's good to fluent Excel worksheets.
H, normal I, M, N, O. I and O is excluded just like how we quote. In any figure that you have, they will bring to collection, and this collection is also automatically based on how many pages that you have, they will bring it here. Finally carry to summary, your summary page like this. So for you to prepare a BQ, once you have the templates here, it's really save you a lot of times. Yeah. But the initial to create a template is the the most difficult part.
Yeah, I think we understand that the hard work is getting the first one right, so that we've got the template to use for future project works. But once it's there, the next
your future project will be saved.
Painless or relatively painless. Okay. What was the other one?
How about the back end stuff, the cost reporting and the IPCs and everything?
Yes.
I know you mentioned you've got the report set up in there already, but
yeah, this is the thing that you can create all those templates using this report inside here. So you can see the method for you to go through all this post contract any information is you fully understand the workbook inside here, understand how you want to create the templates. Then the way for you to input, let's say for example IPC, the formats maybe is a little bit different from what you currently have because this is more to the horizontal side. And if you want to really have your same format as yours, you might utilize the user 1, 2, 3. You still can use just like create like something in Excel. So these workbooks, if you ask about what additional features that we have, I can mention that this is really very Excel type because all the standard functions that you have in Excel, most of them is inside here. So you see, this is the standard function. You can see the way for you to key in all those formula. Okay, even some if, some SQ, tangent, average. How do you want to map the information, create the data, even VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, like you have in your Excel? I saw that. is also applicable inside our workbook. The text function is like, you can see most everything that you can create, that you can create inside here. Just maybe the appearance from this workbook view is a little bit different, but you can tweak it in the reports editing there.
Okay.
Report editing, how you want it to look like, whether there's a signatory, anything at the bottom, you also can use, create a template.
So, say we've got, we've got a project, we've got 10 different contract packages, and then we can set up a different tab for each of the contract packages for a different report.
Over here, it's not a different tab, it's different workbook.
Oh, different workbook,
Different
sorry,
workbook,
okay,
yes.
okay. Within that workbook, we've got the drawing revisions, which we've been through earlier, and we can manage variations automatically through the reporting function. So we can say, all right, we've got drawing revision 1, which has changed the size of such and such a room. Drawing revision 2 has a different floor finish here. Drawing revision 3 has a different ceiling height. And then we can automatically put the cost of each one of those changes into a report.
For this revision, it's like you can see just now when I show you the demonstration, I insert one revision. So for the example they were given, maybe you have different revision 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So every revision that you've gone through, the previous data is still stored inside. You still, the keep tracks is whether when I click back to the initial estimates is still inside. Anytime you can keep on refer back. You can see this is the initial estimate. I adjust any other things. So if you would like to check the latest, I just simply click to the revision 2. So then I can check compare to one to one. If you want to always keep track to every file, you can also duplicate this sort of file. So this is the latest file.
And so could we sort of do a comparison between the latest revision and the first one or the third one?
Yes,
or,
can.
yeah,
Definitely.
we can choose which revision we want to report against.
Or exactly, you see inside the comparison report just now when I show you we compare, there's a compare to revision. I have only initial inside. So when you have a lot of revision, let's say you have 4 revision, the fourth you can compare to 1, or the fourth can compare to third. But at one time you can compare to 2 lah. So
and then if you want to compare to multiple, you set
yeah,
up
you
multiple
use
reports.
yes, correct. You set up in the user column.
Yeah.
Yes, there is the idea that how you play around with this.
Okay. I mean, it's going to take some playing with your app, but
I think from what we've seen in the past, the best thing is like it sounds like maybe people are starting to maybe take off with CostX, and that's where a lot of people start with. But really, I really encourage you to sort out your Pommy stuff first and get your template set up, and really try and get from the outset people measuring and putting the information straight into workbooks or setting up the live links so that information to go straight there. Otherwise, you just always seem to get people stuck on it, like doing the takeoff. They just keep using it in Excel, and you just don't get the power of it then, because the whole point of CostX is the live link between the two, and then all the reporting that goes with it. So I think as early as you can possibly get some form of template that you're comfortable with into CostX, as you're training people to use it and use takeoff, get them to use the workbook at the same time. It just does drag on and on and on, and people, I mean, that's fair to say, isn't it? Like, but you have to allow some time to get that workbook set up and get your dimension groups, so you've got a standard kind of list, and populate it with some information so people aren't just opening it up to a blank, screen, because that just freaks people out and they don't know where to start.
So this is where I think we have to just spend time. The intention is to have one project where we start using it, just so that so it's that's the kind of the learning curve for us, is like one project, and we start hopefully on the right path with that. Once there's a few of us that are familiar with that format, in the meantime we're going to carry on doing with the way we've normally done it, because there's no point in having everybody trying to learn a little bit today. It's going to be a few people
And
more.
also you need super users, like, you know, you need a manager that's kind of driving it, and then you need super users that, you know, people can come to, and they're also the ones that, you know, decide on the best way to do things. Just don't let it be a free-for-all that people can do what they want, because that's how it is in Excel, and as much as you try to shut it down, it's near impossible. Something like CostX does give you a little bit more capability to have a bit more structure to what you do, and a bit more confidence with what goes out of the organisation.
That's my main goal, is to have standardisation of what we're doing, because.
And so have, like, you know, weekly meetings where, you know, you talk about what happened during the week, and people will share what they found in CostX, or what they, you know, the good and the bad of stuff, and people will go, oh, I found this great thing, and, you know, use it on this, and this is how it worked. People will go, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Or someone might go, oh, I really struggle with doing blah, 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 but hopefully someone might say, oh yeah, I tried to do that and I got around it by this. Or it might be a point there where you email support and say, we're having an issue with this, can someone give us some assistance? But if you don't have those kind of regular catch-ups and ability for people to share what they're doing, once again, they just don't get on top of it.
Understood.
Are we pretty much at the end of our list?
Left the last one, follow-up training.
How to count a lot of example. One, a last error have a lot of filing the same name. If they be one, a last then how can we calculate?
Okay, so
Quickly.
so if let's say the drawing file that you mentioned about all this file is in the DWG or PDF, so it's PDF. Okay, if you have those PDF, so this is just a method that you can count. So this is the vector PDF. So I show you this sample. I show this white color. Just for example, I have all these file cap. I want to measure them. Okay, so inside the PDF file, let's say I put under this file cap. When it's a vector PDF, you can filter them according to the layers. For hide the layers, I invert. There are so many other file cap. Okay, we have one auto count function here. This auto count, you can first capture. So let's say I can capture this image of my file cap. Then I click search. Allow the software, based on the images I highlight, search throughout the whole drawings. Okay. So this is also very depend on the drawing quality. If you receive the MM1 is a little bit different, then it cannot detect. You can see when I have this some of them is detected even though this is not file cap, then we can slowly adjust this. Okay, this one I should increase this higher. Notice that whatever that I want is detected. Okay, so all of the file cap one is detected. This one do not be highlighted based on the bare eye. Maybe when we see the line is not the same line. Okay, the dimension is different. So with this, I just click the accept. And when I come back to my dimension group, there's 46 numbers total. Show the label is there. So you can use these auto count features to find if you have all the power.
Might be error. That's the same, but how different ways. This by get different. How you
That one, that is because the PAL, this is the difficult part, because the PALing normally is provisional. You need to base on the report, the PALing report, and you input them one by one. That is the tedious part for the PALing, because I understand, because...
So we would typically have a piling layout drawing that has a schedule on the corner, which says pile number,
which number, which
diameter, which length, and there might be 5 different piles.
Yes.
So piling for me is actually pretty quick to count.
No,
But for example, it might be things like doors.
yes.
I mean, that would be a one for me when you go through a whole building and you want to make sure you've got 500
10,000
doors D1 or something like that. That's the kind of thing. Whether you're searching by a label on all the drawings or something on a door schedule, if that has the function to do that. So if you've got, say you've got all the floor plan drawings, and the floor plan drawings all show D1 to D50 or whatever it is. And then on the door schedule, you can highlight D1, which it's a double door timber, all of this. You can search then through the drawings to pick up how many.
You can search through using the label, using this same function AutoCount, you highlight the label.
Yeah, because that's probably more important than by design, I think.
Correct, yes.
All right. Okay. I think we just need to go through.
The last question you had, or actually 9 and 10. In 9 you mentioned about ConnectX. So ConnectX, we've been acquired by RIB earlier this year, and they have a product called i2CX, and it's a collaboration platform. It's a SaaS-based product, so it's in the cloud type thing. So it allows people to, as they're working on a project, to share their RFIs and all the emails and things that go with that. So at the moment, we've rebranded that to being ConnectX, and we're selling it at the moment within Australia and New Zealand. It's not something that's available in other places, and that's because of you need bulk number of people using it because it's a SaaS-based product, so service and stuff have to be set up for it. It may be something that we will bring to Asia in the future, but just not available at this point in time.
Okay.
Do you use any other software like that at the moment?
No, it was only because of there was only two parts on that caught my attention. One was the tendering part, but we can do that on here anyway.
Yes, correct.
And the other part was the contracts, budgets, claims, variations, and payments, which you said that we
can use the workbook to
do that.
Yes.
So it was only because CostX didn't specifically mention that I did a wider search to find out what
it's
did
more,
do it.
Yeah, ConnectX is probably more for the contractor market than the consultants, although there are some that use it, so that's fine.
Yeah.
The other number 10, you said follow-up training applies to queries, who provides this? So technically, you've purchased through one BIM or TPP, so they will be providing it. They're going to have limited ability to do some of that right now.
We were not overly impressed, I have to say.
So you need to probably, like we have supported Exactor. .com, and so that is supported by either Andy or other people in Singapore and Hong Kong. If it's out of those hours, we've got people in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Middle East, and so forth. So you can email support at exactor.com. The other thing is with training, you were kind of lucky to get training because you were paid for training. Well, I don't think you did. We didn't receive. So you did.
To be honest.
So you did get that, but I mean, we can provide training, but it is a paid service.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that.
I
think as long as we know that we've got access to that, because at some point.
I mean, the idea was BCAT was going to take people to two central places or something.
Yeah.
So.
Eventually, Philippines is going to get on board with this. I don't know why they haven't. It's certainly. I don't think it's cash flow. I think it's much more that we haven't got a straight answer for them at all. We're just delaying the decision.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, I'm glad you don't have a straight answer. That doesn't make me feel so bad.
Welcome to my company. But the intention is to sign up anyway, and if they then organise the formal training and so forth, we'll probably send a couple of people down to the Philippines to make sure that it's tagged on as part of that. Or I'm happy to have another paid session here, just to make sure that we're getting more detailed once we're up and running with it. I think first is to get.
And if we did the paid session, then Andy would be most likely the one who would come to do that.
Yeah,
so
I think they realise that you've got paid to get things done properly.
Well, that hour's been so much better than the whole day that we had with one BIM, to be honest.
Well, I've been trying to catch up with the gentleman that does the overlay that's me, and it would have been ideal for him to tag along with us the last couple of days. He probably would have learned a lot himself. So, and hence, why we are here to try and work out. I think one thing's done well in terms of getting the name and things like that, but it just takes time to understand the product, and it's not like this is an established market. We can go and get a product specialist in Australia or other countries, and they can use CostX straight away. It's a bit harder if you haven't had that lifetime of experience.
No, I agree. I think we're understanding of that, but obviously we want to you know, we want to get value out of the product so that we can see the return on it as soon as we can. But I didn't expect it to be tomorrow. I mean, I'm targeting one project just to make sure that at least it gets in there.
Build off.
And then build on that. You know, if we by the end of the year have got that, and 2 or 3 people understanding how that works, then that's a success for us.
We have better pack up because we've got to
Yep.
work on
Email
I remember
for
we've got to get back to
Where are you
Grand
heading to?
Hotel. We're staying at Grand Hotel, so we'll
Yes,
meet
you've
there.
got to go back there
so
first.
that's right,
Okay.
so-
Yeah.
Oh, no,
problem.
no,
It's in there.
there.
Oh, okay.
So-
You'll be fine, but yes,
Yeah.
we need to back up. Okay, I
This
appreciate
is
that.
the email that's right there on support at the start.
Yeah.
So if you have any question, you just send it to this email. And definitely we have the support engineer sitting in front of the computer almost 24 hours because we have a US